We all remember when a pixelated punk could buy a house. Beeple fetched $69 million, and Bored Apes turned into a celebrity club. Then prices cratered and discords went quiet. But after years of falling values and faded hype, are NFTs truly dead? Or are they staging a comeback? Today, we'll explain what NFTs are, how the last cycle went from boom to bust, explore the top collections, uncover the traits survivors share, and show you how to find NFTs with 100x potential. My name is Lewis, and this is a video you can't afford to miss. First things first though, you do need to know that nothing in this video is financial or investment advice. It's just educational content intended to inform you about NFTs. And if this is the kind of content that you want to get more of, then smash that like button, hit subscribe to the channel, and ping that notification bell so you won't miss our next upload. Now, let's strip the jargon and start simple with what an NFT even is. An NFT is just proof that a specific digital thing is yours. Think of it like a baseball card with a serial number that anyone could verify. The actual physical art, music, video, ticket, or access pass, it could be anywhere in the world. The crucial bit is that the ownership record lives on a blockchain. That's it. No magic, no mystique. Just a tamper-evident receipt that says, this one belongs to you, no matter where it is. Of course, receipts aren't very exciting. What are exciting are stories. And NFTs got their first great story in 2017 with CryptoPunks, 10,000 little pixelated faces, each one randomly stitched together from traits like hats, pipes, and shades. For the first time, collectors had a natively digital set with built-in rarity. Months later came Ether Rocks, which were exactly what the name suggests. Rocks. Completely useless by design. Their value wasn't in utility, but in scarcity and the ability to show off ownership in public, the so-called flex factor. Fast forward to 2021, and the rocket fuel ignited. Digital artist Beeple's Everydays sold for $69 million at a traditional auction house, and NFTs went from a crypto niche to dinner table debate. In Web3, the flex was no longer driving a Lambo or some equally obnoxious whip. It was a pixelated alien or a shockingly expensive digital rock. Welcome to crypto. Now, just to put it into perspective on just how insane things actually got, the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT collection was minted for just 0.08 ETH a pop, but its floor price later soared past 100 ETH. It quickly became a social badge that doubled as a membership card, offering merch drops, token airdrops, and profile pictures proudly flexed by celebrities across social media. It wasn't long before Twitter looked like an NFT zoo, Discords felt like stadiums, and everyone knew someone who flipped a JPEG for life-changing money. Under the hood, a few design choices supercharged the mania, and they're worth highlighting because they explain both the rise and the fall. First, engineered rarity worked. Collections used provably random trait combinations, so a handful of items were genuinely scarce. That gave traders something to hunt for and gave holders something to show off. Second, royalty on NFT resales, often 5 to 10%, meant that teams earned whenever NFT volumes increased. That gave teams a strong incentive to keep delivering, whether it was new roadmaps, airdrops, fresh artwork, or in-person events. Third came the fight against bots, which gave rise to the allow list grind. Projects rewarded their most active community members with early access, and that process had a powerful side effect. Small, tight-knit groups formed along the way. People made friends, woke up for 3 a.m. mints, and felt like they genuinely earned their spot. Finally, there was novelty. You could mutate an ape with a serum and mint a brand new one, or hatch a mysterious egg, only to discover that it was a fishing rod. These kinds of twists kept people engaged, and in any market, attention is the oxygen that keeps it alive. But then the tide went out. Prices fell for the same reasons that they'd risen, just in reverse. Scarcity was watered down by endless sister collections and V2 art, while roadmaps turned into theater, full of splashy trailers but delivering little in the way of real products. Royalties took a hit when marketplaces let buyers turn them off, forcing teams to find new revenue streams or scale back. And because NFTs are tied so closely to the blockchains that they live on, when ETH and SOL prices stumbled, NFT floors didn't just dip, they collapsed. Liquidity also shifted to faster thrills, meme coins. Why spend weeks grinding for a whitelist when you could send coins to a presale wallet and watch the chart shoot up instantly? Telegram overtook Discord as the casino of choice, and the spotlight moved with it. Yet calling the whole category dead misses something important. A handful of teams kept executing like companies, not just collections. In 2025, NFTs aren't ending world hunger, but they're also not just monkey pictures. They've settled into being a tool for digital ownership and programmable membership. They could be silly like digital rocks, serious like authenticating luxury goods, social like profile pictures, or even practical like tickets and in-game items. The last cycle showed us both the ceiling and the floor, how far a great story could carry pixels, and how quickly weak promises can be repriced. So, where do NFTs stand today? In short, they're off the lows and climbing back from the depths. This July, monthly NFT trading volume jumped to around $530 million. Average sale prices roughly doubled to about $105, and for the first time in a while, NFT dApps grew slightly more active users than DeFi. Today, the total NFT market is valued at around $8.1 billion, still well below the $17 billion peak that we saw in 2021. From there, it splits into two tracks. On Ethereum, you have the old guard with deep history. On Solana, you get faster, cheaper action and a crowd eager to try new things. The names you hear most haven't changed much, and there's a reason they keep coming up. On Ethereum, CryptoPunks still sets the tone. They're the original collectibles set in NFTs. No companion drops, no constant updates, just the same 10,000 pieces that launched in 2017. When we see a day with lots of punks trading hands and new wallets joining the holder list, it's a sign that the original story still matters. Punks don't need a flashy roadmap. Their appeal is simple. They were first, they're clean, and they're easy to understand. Sharing the spotlight are Pudgy Penguins, a comeback story that actually stuck. After a rocky start, the project changed hands, rebuilt trust with its community, and focused on the simple but difficult task of creating a brand people can physically interact with. Toys on store shelves, a trading card game, and licensing deals that pay holders when their penguin is featured, all followed later by a token launch to bring more people into the ecosystem. Pudgy managed to create revenue outside the NFT market while keeping the on-chain identity that fans care about. That mix has helped it hold value better than most through the ups and the downs. And we've actually covered Pudgy Penguins in detail in a separate video. So if you want to watch that, you can check that out right over here. Now, there's also Bored Ape Yacht Club, which is still a major name, but also a cautionary tale. At its peak, it really had everything. Celebrity holders, companion collections, a token, even a metaverse project. The issue wasn't ambition, it was trying to do too much at once. When the market turned, the extra supply and unfinished products became a drag. The brand is still alive, liquidity is still there, and occasionally apes see strong demand. But in 2025, delivery matters more than announcements, which is exactly why Pengu has seen so much success. Now, over to Solana, where the blue chip NFT collection is Mad Lads. Their launch famously trapped bots and gave real users a fair shot, earning them a lot of goodwill right from day one. Since then, the teams kept building things people actually use. NFTs, which are apps built right into NFTs, the Backpack wallet, and even their own exchange. Holders have picked up multiple airdrops along the way, and the community is active both online and at in-person events. And by the way, speaking of exchanges, if you want to save big on trading costs during this bull run, then you should definitely go and check out the Coin Bureau's deals page, because that is where you'll find sign-up bonuses of up to $100,000, trading fee discounts of up to 50%, and even cash back on deposits of up to 75% on the best crypto exchanges. And now these deals, they won't be around for long, so you should definitely take advantage of them ASAP using the link down below or the QR code on the screen. And this brings us to the next question. Why are these NFT collections the winners? And how could you find NFTs with similar potential? The answer, it really isn't anything mysterious. The NFT projects that survived and thrived all share a handful of traits that pretty much anyone could check. First comes the community, and we don't mean a follower count. In NFTs, the image is only half the appeal. The other half is the feeling of belonging. That's why profile pictures work so well. They're a quick way of saying, we're part of the same group. Healthy communities have a pulse that you could feel. Active chats around the clock, meetups that actually happen, posts from creators being shared and remixed by fans, and most importantly, new people joining during the highs and sticking around when the price is cool. And you could pretty easily test this out simply by jumping into the project's Discord for a week and seeing whether the chatter is organic or if it's botted, and by looking at the holder list to see if new wallets are joining or if the same few whales are just passing pieces back and forth. Next is scarcity without dilution. Rarity isn't just about gold fur or laser eyes. It's about knowing the thing that you bought won't be watered down. CryptoPunks are the clearest example. One set, 10,000 items, no clones. Pudgy Penguins learned this the hard way in its early days and then kept newer editions purposeful. On the flip side, collections that pile on sister sets, V2 art, and companion drops could burn through goodwill quickly. Another way to check scarcity is to look at the owner-to-supply ratio. If there are 10,000 items but only a few hundred owners, that's a little bit risky because a couple of big holders could tank the floor. But if there are thousands of owners and listings don't spike every time the price dips, then the market is in a much better shape. Then also we have real utility, which doesn't have to mean a sci-fi roadmap. It simply means that the NFT does something people actually use. That could be as simple as access to events that sell out, airdrops, or licensing rails that pay holders when their character becomes a toy on a shelf. Pudgy's Overpass IP is a great example of this in action. On Solana, Mad Lad's X NFTs and the Backpack wallet are useful surfaces you can actually interact with, not just empty promises. So if all announcements stopped tomorrow, would holders still have reasons to care beyond the collection's floor price? If the answer is yes, that is a positive sign. And execution is just as important. The best teams get these small things right. Fair mints that aren't swarmed by bots. They have clear timelines. They're shipping on schedule and are owning up to mistakes in public. On the flip side, projects that keep jumping from one pivot to the next, new chains, new tokens, new art every few months, train their communities to expect constant change instead of real delivery. Now, let's get practical. How do you actually buy a NFT yourself? On Ethereum, you could use popular Web3 wallets like MetaMask. On Solana, Phantom is the go-to. If you haven't set one up yet, we've linked our step-by-step wallet guides in the description. Once your wallet is ready, just fund it using an exchange that you trust, and be sure to leave a little extra on top for fees. Next, you have to know about marketplaces. On Ethereum, OpenSea is the easiest place to start, while Blur is where the more experienced traders tend to operate. On Solana, Magic Eden is the main hub. For this demo, we'll use OpenSea, but the same steps apply on most major platforms. First, head over to OpenSea. We'll leave the official link in the description. Next, connect your wallet, click on Discover from the menu on the left side, and choose a collection. Before you buy anything, however, make sure to check for verification. Look for the blue checkmark, a legitimate website, and social links on the collection page, and also a sensible creation date. Spoof collections do appear daily, and fakes often have a new badge with no history. If everything checks out, then pick an NFT. Scroll down to see details like previous owners, offers, and price history, then look at traits to get a feel for the rarity. A quick glance at the Activity tab will show you if buyers are active or if the last sale was weeks ago. And by the way, if you notice the same two wallets trading back and forth, that is usually a very big red flag. Now, let's buy a cheap, verified NFT as an example. If it's listed, click Buy Now. If it isn't, or if you're not in a rush, you can make an offer instead. Confirm the transaction in your wallet and wait a few seconds. Once it's complete, the NFT will appear under your profile. And just like that, you officially own your first NFT. And of course, it goes without saying that none of the NFTs shown here are endorsements in any way, shape, or form. They are just random collections that we found on OpenSea. But I digress. Now let's go on to selling. So selling is really just as simple as buying. Go to your profile, click on your NFT, hit list for sale, and set your price. Keep in mind there is a small platform fee and, depending on the collection, an optional creator royalty, so factor those into your price as well. And if you're holding more than one NFT and you want to sell into a rising market, you can, quote, ladder your listings, one at the current floor, another slightly higher, and so on and so forth. If you need to sell quickly, then clicking accept offer will take the highest current bid right away, but you'll almost always be selling at a discount. And there's also a few simple checks that help you avoid common mistakes. For example, check highest last sale to see if rare traits are actually selling at a premium. And we can't forget about security, because security is equally, if not even more important. What you want to do is bookmark the marketplaces so that you don't have to type them in again, and never click on mint links sent in DMs. Also, never sign blind transactions from websites that you don't recognize. If you're going to hold anything valuable, you might want to consider a hardware wallet, and also keep the hot wallets just for trading only. So, where does the NFT market go from here? The honest answer is that it's really not clear yet. What is clear, though, is that NFTs are likely heading for a second act, but it won't look like 2021. Less about flipping JPEGs and more about owning a pass, an item, or a brand that you actually use. Part of this is simple altcoin rotation. In past cycles, the first movers were the base layers, Ethereum and Solana, for example. Then everything else followed. This time, we largely skipped that step and just ran straight into meme coins. Lately, though, the majors have woken up again, and there's a strong case that the easy meme trade has mostly played out, for now at least, while attention rotates back to the foundations and the ecosystems that they get built on. And that's where narratives like GameFi and SocialFi could come in, and both lean on NFTs by default. A hit game doesn't need to shout blockchain to millions of players. It just needs to ship gear, skins, and passes that happen to be NFTs in the background. A good SocialFi app doesn't need a long manifesto. It just needs creators and audiences who enjoy token-gated experiences that actually work. If even just a few of those take off, NFTs do stand to benefit in the background without carrying the hype or the baggage. Chain by chain, the setup is a bit different. On Ethereum, for example, the museum pieces are likely to keep their place, punks as clout collateral, and penguins as a brand that earns off-chain while keeping its on-chain identity. On Solana, the bet is simpler. If Sol performs well, its top collections offer high beta exposure to that move, collections such as Mad Lads as their clear anchor. It's not just ETH and Sol, though. There are opportunities in other ecosystems as well, like ordinals on Bitcoin. And while the UX might be clunky and prices have been hammered down, that's exactly why there could be opportunity. If BTC keeps rallying, the higher beta ordinals could do more on top of that. All of that being said, however, even with the renewed interest in NFTs today, the reality is that most collections still won't survive in the long run. While a few new blue chips will emerge, most will still fade into the abyss when the next bear market inevitably comes. The ones that survive will operate less like one-off mints and more like real businesses, with a clear supply, a clear purpose, and products or experiences that you could touch, play, or attend. If enough projects take that approach, the NFT market could weather the next storm far better than it did last time around. Here's hoping. And so we will see if the NFT narrative does actually take off. But if you're looking for another narrative that could gain steam this cycle, then you should definitely check out our video on that right over here. And also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button right now. With saying all that, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again very soon. This is Lewis, signing off.